So we have been considering how you can create volume, particularly on a circle, to suggest it is a sphere. And this process of adding tone was quite intensive. It took a little while. There is a much simpler and quicker way of creating volume. I'm going to demonstrate it now. This is by far my favourite demonstrator and diagram in art lessons because it's a simple magic trick. Here we have it. With one line, I am suggesting this circle is flat. It looks flat, the line is saying it's flat. In this one, this arc line is implying there is volume. Now I have a cricket ball to hand. So if I get the seam and line it up with the camera, it looks fairly parallel. It looks quite flat. We can see the form because we can see light hitting the object, we can see a range of tone. But if I tip it, it illustrates this point quite clearly. This suggestion of volume as the line, the contour line, is wrapping around the object. Now I've gone one step further. Onto the sphere that we've been using earlier, I have drawn some parallel, roughly parallel at least, we've been drawn with a pencil, lines. So you can see volume on it because of the light and the shadows that created by my hand. But if I start to tip it, this is suggesting volume. It's suggesting the lines are wrapping around a three-dimensional structure. Now, if I said those are the lines of latitude, you obviously know I'm talking about a globe. If you think about an orange and lines of longitude, this is obviously a table tennis ball that I've drawn with a Sharpie, not very neatly, but you can see these lines again suggesting volume. So if you think about applying line and using direction into that line, you can convey volume. So that's the pole there, and obviously they intersect on a pole. So we are suggesting that there is volume. Even if there's a straight line into the centre there, you are still suggesting there is volume. Now, if we look onto a cylinder, we can do this with vertical lines and lines running around horizontally. So I've moved on to the worksheet, and in each case I've already pre-sketched the cylinder, the cone, the cube and the sphere. Remember, key points. If you are drawing a cylinder like this, it does not have the fish point. I call it the fish because you know what I mean. There's the fish face. I'll draw the full fish. The fish point. No, it has a continuous line. Let me remind you why. This is a circle. Even if I turn it as an ellipse, it is still a circle. It does not generate a point until we reach a flat line. Everything else is showing you that curved arc. So, if we think about the lines that would wrap around here, if we had the lines of longitude, they would be vertical. Now, if they were spaced out evenly around the object, they would look wider here, getting narrower as they move away. So you can create the illusion with lines closer at the side, getting slightly wider as you come into the middle. You can also imply this by drawing arc lines like our lines of latitude, suggesting volume there. Now it's tricky on the top. If it was a tube and it was open at the top, you might have more lines closely packed here and here, maybe darker and denser, suggesting shadow. However, if it was flat across the top, you might want to suggest it's receding, and my way to do that would just be to draw some lines that look like they are flat and moving away from us. So we're moving on to the cone. Remember, it's got a round base, so these points would be slightly rounded, no fish face. So, like the shading from the top, the lines of longitude would be coming from the top, looking slightly closer together as they bend around the object. The lines of latitude Hopefully that point is proved. And looks a bit like a shell. It's not a spiral, they're running roughly parallel. Now, cube is a little bit tricky. The cube has volume to some extent just because of its three-dimensional structure. Remember, you can draw cubes from different angles. We have not covered perspective yet. So there are different ways. You might see two planes of the cube or the cuboid, same principle. So you might suggest one of these is vertical. We think, but that's vertical as well. These are both elevation planes. So to suggest they're different, you might put closer lines into another one. That would imply that that's got the light on it. Here, because the density of marks is closer, it would look slightly darker. If you want to suggest something is going back, you could add lines suggesting volume. You could do the longitude latitude thing and build up. Could look a bit Rubik's Cube-y, this. You see what I mean? I'm drawing lines that are suggesting and conveying the form, and we've already seen it with the cricket ball, and if you think about the planet and think about lines on the globe. There's a lovely exercise you can do where you draw an apple and then you draw contours onto the apple. I did it at university for the first time, really enjoyed it. So for those of you that fancy it, why not give it a go? Now you can work shading into this and build up marks into it, so adding more to it. But the principle is that you are building lines of longitude and latitude around each object.